In April of 2001, as spring returned to North Carolina, Irma and I packed up and headed back to winter in North Dakota. While waiting in the Minneapolis airport to change planes for Minot, we reminisced about our first trip to Turtle Mountain in 1996.
I remember Jenny Schindler's wonderful storytelling, her infectious feeling for life, and Mary May's industriousness, the only one who made her own pattern and then made her owl. And it was Rachel who kept us in stitches also. Okay. Oh, and everyone was really so wonderful.
In Minot, we rented a car and drove the 4 hours to Turtle Mountain Reservation, Belcourt, and St. Anne's. We settled in once again with the Benedictine sisters at Queen of Peace Monastery. There we found Sister Judith, the prioress, Sister Maura, the community counselor, Sister Wilma, the spiritual teacher, Sister Diane, the politically astute, Sister Alma, who kept the table set, Sister Mary Anthony, my father's cousin, whose battle with lupus is leaving its mark, and the delightful Allison, a graduate of Harvard finishing up a year of volunteer work. We began with an evening session making bluebirds in the main dining room, an area used by the sisters for catering tribal and professional meetings. They also run a bed and breakfast for the community. Several quilters joined us: Shirley, Cecile, Ernestine, Teresa, Elaine, and Grace. Teresa brought in Stella. Irma and I hunted up friends from the past and found Freya and Verna. It was such a pleasure to see them again. Teresa brought her son Terrence, who is an art teacher in the elementary school. Kathy, the art teacher at the high school, and her daughter Marissa came to work with us. Freya brought in her buddy Stephanie. Jenny Schindler had passed away, but her granddaughter Tressa and her daughter Sharon worked with us until the babies called them away. And after the bluebirds, we made loons and then yellow lady slippers. After work, Irma and I explored the Turtle Mountain Scenic Byway, where the snow was beginning to melt, although most of the sloughs were still frozen over. As the week moved on, I enjoyed watching everyone working so diligently, and the group began to meld. Kathy and Marissa, Freya, Terrence and Teresa, Stephanie, Verna, Stella, and Shirley. During the first weekend, Irma and I took off for the North Dakota Badlands, officially known as the Theodore Roosevelt National Park. We found a lot more vegetation there than in the South Dakota Badlands. The buffalo, mustangs, and prairie dogs were plentiful. Several flowers were in bloom, including the pasque flower, which is the official North Dakota state flower. We watched the Little Missouri wind its way toward Montana and checked out Roosevelt's hunting cabin. The landscape was truly extraordinary. We stocked up on supplies in Medora and then headed off to Mandan, the Missouri River, and the Slant River Village, which was a favorite stop of Lewis and Clark's on their historic journey. On our way out, we encountered a flock of wild turkeys guarded by a very large male. In Bismarck at the state capitol, we videoed the buffalo and horse made by Turtle Mountain artist Bennett Bryan. They were made of welded rebar like that used to reinforce concrete. I have always appreciated artists who can create masterpieces out of common materials, and Bennett had certainly done that. Bennett is one of Teresa's 7 sons, and when we returned to Belcourt, she took us to meet him and to see his studio. Bennett even entertained us with a Chippewa jig on the fiddle. As we got back to another week of sewing, Teresa and Stella worked on lady slippers and prairie roses, while the others began their buffalo heads. Freya regaled us with stories of growing up in an Icelandic fish factory. Teresa brought her quilts for our show and tell time. Kathy showed us her wood burnings, Marissa her painting. Shirley displayed her quilt collection. The colors were wonderful. Terrence explained how he does quill work on birch bark baskets, and Verna treated us to her quilt collection. Sister Judith brought down the quilt made by Sister Mary Anthony. They are all a hard-working and talented group of people. During the last weekend, Irma and I videoed several spots in Belcourt. We really like the new Turtle Mountain Community College building, which has radiant heat from underwater hot springs and will soon have a wind turbine to supply electricity. The Turtle Mountain area is supposed to be the windiest area in the United States and theoretically could provide a considerable amount of electrical power if equipped with windmills. We then went on to the new casino, the Sky Dancer, with its accompanying hotel. Several people told us that it was not doing well financially and might go bankrupt. Belcourt did not seem to be quite as prosperous as it had been in 1996. On Sunday, we journeyed 10 miles north to the International Peace Garden on the United States-Canadian border. It was too early for the beautiful flowers, but we enjoyed walking through the birch woods on the Canadian side, listening to the loons. We noted numerous moose droppings, a spacious beaver's home, and the crystal clear lake. It felt good to stretch our legs, and our eyes needed the chance to get away from the close work of sewing. As our time began to draw to a close, the buffaloes took shape. Freya finished first, then Teresa, and then Verna. Shirley completed a lovely yellow lady slipper grouping. Stella finished her prairie roses. We ended up with 15 bluebirds, 8 loons, 12 yellow lady slippers, 11 prairie roses, and 7 buffalo heads. I gave my buffalo to the monastery, joining the bald eagle I had left in '96. On the last evening, Irma videoed me with my work, and then we captured the whole group on film with all of our accomplishments, a picture to cherish. Then we ate and ate while the visiting music teacher played her fiddle. There were Icelandic potatoes, Chippewa potatoes, North Carolina turkey, and Kathy's dessert called the next best thing to Robert Redford, which brought forth suggestions of Sean Connery and Brad Pitt, depending upon generational taste. Then, happy and full, we split up all of the leftover materials and hugged each other goodbye. It had been another rewarding experience with the Anishinaabe people of Turtle Mountain, North Dakota.